everybody. Welcome back to the Midnight Terrors podcast. I am your host today, Kevin, here with a very special guest that I'm very excited to chat with. She is known in the horror genre for works like VHS as the character Lily in the segment Amateur Night, as well as the spin-off Siren. And she is also the director of the upcoming horror film Dark Circles. My guest today, Hannah Fierman. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for your time today. I know we've been working on this for a few months, so it's exciting to have it happening here today. How's everything going?
Everything's great.
Awesome. So again, thank you for jumping on today. We definitely want to take a few minutes to dive into Dark Circles, the upcoming horror movie, which I'm very excited to see. Everything's looking fantastic there. So before we dive into that, we always give our new guests the golden question on how did you get into horror? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had a lot of independent filmmaker friends that made horror movies in Atlanta, and that's where I was living at the time. And independent film and horror go hand in hand, so that's how I got into it. I wasn't seeking it out, but I certainly wasn't against it either.
Awesome. Were there any horror movies in particular when you started getting into the genre that really sat with you, that kind of inspired you to keep going with the genre?
Well, I've gotten a lot more into it since then. Yeah, I can actually sit through movies now without without being up for 2 weeks with the lights on. Well, I was a big fan of The Sixth Sense back then. I loved Scream, the original Scream. I thought let me think, Jaws was spectacular. And yeah, but now I've seen most of the classics, and yeah, I'm no longer afraid of watching
Awesome.
scary dolls or clowns or anything like that.
That's fantastic. And now you're on to making your own horror movies as well, which is what we're here to talk about, which is, again, the upcoming film Dark Circles. Going from the Instagram description where people can see it on socials, it says, Martin Malone, a lonely voyeur, suspects that someone or something far more sinister is watching him. So I know, doing some reading, that this was a kind of a script that some other people had worked on before you got to be the director. Can you talk a little bit about how you got involved with the project?
Yeah, Damien Maffei was the creator of the story, and Brian Fitzpatrick wrote the script along with Damien. And when it first was done a few years ago, he had well, one of the roles, the role of Rowan, was written for me. But then time went on, and they asked me to direct it, and I didn't want to act in such a big role if I was also directing. So that role went to Kate Kiddo, and she did a stellar job. Yeah, so that's how I got involved with it. I was kind of involved with it from the jump, but not necessarily as a director.
Sure. That's awesome. And having done so much acting beforehand before jumping into the director's chair, what's that transition been like for you to go from acting in horror movies to then being behind the camera and sort of, steering the ship for everybody?
Well, I think it's a natural progression, if you want it to be. Um, I don't know. When you're on set, especially on indies, you're always watching and learning and seeing what to do and what not to do. And I wanted to direct, and I directed a segment of Dead by Midnight Y2 Kill before this one, and I enjoyed it immensely. I think it's more stressful than acting. Even if it's a really stressful acting role, I still think directing is more stressful, but it's also more fun, and you get to be involved with all aspects of creating it instead of just your role. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'd like to do a lot more.
Awesome. And did you find yourself kind of pulling from what you had learned, just being an actor first before the directing to kind of direct everybody else, or was that a whole new beast for you?
So I had such good actors that there was very, very little direction that they needed. and yeah, I took from the good directors that I had worked with. Like, I would take people aside and just be like really quietly whisper in their ear something that I would like to see them maybe change or just do slightly differently. And so that was really my approach. But I didn't really have to do a whole lot. Honestly, my actors were so well cast and knew their character better than I knew their character. They're just stellar artists. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And there's quite the star-studded cast there, as you said. I know Damien's involved. You got Felissa Rose in there as well. I imagine it was a fun set environment for the directing.
Oh yeah, it was great. Everybody was wonderful. Everybody pitched in. It was yeah, truly a collaborative thing. And yeah, both Felissa and Damien and Ryan James, who plays the bartender, and Dan Kearney all had roles and were also producers of the movie. And I'm a producer now in post. I wasn't
Mhm.
initially, but now I am.
Awesome. Well, this really seems like a passion project for you at this point, just being involved in so many ways and working with so many friends on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been
Um,
amazing. It's been a very long journey, but it's
yes.
been amazing. I've learned a lot.
Hmm. With with the film being so psychological, in terms of the story that's going on, were there any themes or messages in particular that you wanted to sort of portray or dive into with the film, or is it more so just kind of let the viewer go on the ride with everybody?
It's exactly let you go on the ride with everybody because it's entirely from the perspective of Martin Malone. And we even had a lot of POV. And so you're seeing and feeling everything from his perspective, whether it's a dream or reality for him. Sometimes they blur within the script. And if I was likening it to any other film, I would say it's similar in that way to uh, what is it called? Kevin Bacon, where the dead people are in the walls. What's it called? Stir of
Uh,
Echoes. Yeah, Stir of
yes,
Echoes.
yes.
Kind of
Perfect.
similar to that, but not exactly the same. Certainly very, very different characters.
Awesome. Yeah, it is quite the reverse on the character of Damien, going from one scenario to then being in that scenario and almost being the person being watched at this point. So that seems
Right.
pretty terrifying to imagine. So I cannot wait to see it. And again, talking with you about how many people are involved and what the atmosphere is like, with it being so dark in nature of a story. I imagine there probably has to be a lot of actors interaction on in terms of getting those performances out, because looking at the clip that's out there, Damien has to go to a pretty dark place with his actors and who he's on screen with. So I imagine there's probably a lot of conversations about how to sort of get that out of each other.
Yeah, I don't think so. I wasn't there for any of that. It was a very fast-paced production, super low budget, so there wasn't a whole lot of rehearsal time. And if they did rehearse with one another, um, it might have been in their hotel rooms or Airbnb or whatever. So we just kind of jumped into it, and the chemistry just worked. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Damien rehearsed with Terry Kaiser a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because they were hanging out quite a bit. But Damien was producing at the time as well, so there really was very little time. But he's a
Awesome.
seasoned actor with independent film like this, so he knows, to be completely prepared and to hit the ground running, because there's literally no time for anything else.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. I'm very excited to see the film. I just watched the clip that was released after the Indiegogo, and it is again very very intense, very terrifying, and just the transition from a kind of lighthearted scene into something pretty dark looks to be very very intriguing for the viewers, I think.
Thank
Um,
you.
Absolutely. So I know it's been kind of a journey to get the film, finished in post and everything like that. So when can we maybe keep an eye out for when Dark Circles might either hit a festival or, go to streaming, or what's the plans there for going forward?
We intend to go directly to distribution. We're not going to do any festivals unless one just really wants it and it's a perfect fit and the timing is right for everybody. But I sincerely doubt that that will be the case. And yeah, it's really close to being finished. We're just waiting on a little bit. We're waiting on color. My colorist has to mail a hard drive to my editor, and we're waiting on the 5:1 mix. But besides that, it's done. And yeah, it's the dream come true. I can't believe it. It's taken so long and been such an intense journey. And I guess I sort of just stopped believing that it was going to be done one day. But it is, and I'm so excited for you to see it. I think that probably at the soonest it would be at the very end of the year, possibly early next year when it'll be out. But it's really hard to say because we haven't reached out to any distribution yet.
Gotcha. Well, awesome. I'm sure that as time goes on, people are going to be very excited to see what the release date is, where they can watch it. And are you headed to any cons or anything coming up soon, where people can maybe come talk to you or and hear more about the film in person?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing a convention in San Antonio on September 7th, and it's called Curse City Con, and it should be a lot of fun. Some buddies of mine are going to be there. There's going to be Randy Havens and Greg DiCatero are going to be there. I've worked with both of them, and they're lovely people. So yeah, it's going to be a good crowd.
Awesome. Well, definitely, if you're in that area talking to our listeners, be sure to go out and say what's up to Hannah. She is awesome. By the way, when I met Felissa Rose back in February, her and Mary said to say hello.
Ah, that's so sweet.
So I told them that we were in talks to have you on the show, and they had just the best things to say about you. So they said to say hello.
They are the nicest. Yeah. So where were you?
I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, or excuse me, Concord, North Carolina for Mad Monster in February. And I met
Fun.
Felissa about 2 years ago for the first time, which is kind of what spawned this podcast. And then I met her for the second time.
Really cool. That's great.
Yeah. So where can people follow you on socials, follow Dark Circles on socials, and really just keep up with all things going on with the film?
Yeah, well, Dark Circles has its own presence. It's under Dark Circles movie. It's on Facebook and X and Instagram. And I am really boring. My handle is always Hannah Fierman. So except on X, and then it's Hannah Rose Firm. Because I made an account, forgot about it, and then made another because so I used up my own name, which was a shame. And yeah, so that's where you can find me. And I also have a website which all of my social media goes to. There's a little blurb that shows everything I post. And yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on with me today, Hannah. This has been a real honor, real treat to get to talk to you. Cannot wait for Dark Circles, and just thank you on behalf of everyone at Midnight Terrors for all your incredible work.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for having me. Yeah,
Of
appreciate
course.
it.
Hopefully, we'll get to cross paths at a con sometime soon as well. We'll talk some more, hopefully.
I hope
But
so, yeah.
Awesome. And everybody listening to this, be sure to go follow Dark Circles and Hannah on all the socials and keep up with the film. And be sure to give it all the support that you can when it drops. And we can't wait to see what you do next, Hannah. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right,
Of
bye.
course. Have a good one.